Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be giving you a complete settings guide to Rainbow Six Siege X. Now, I know a lot of people have been having audio problems, a lot of people have been having FPS problems, and this video aims to solve both of those. Now, a quick disclaimer before we do jump into any settings is that there has been some ongoing audio issues. So if you have had some problems with the sound in general, where it just sounds really muffled, that could be down to a bug, but I'm still going to try my best to make it better for you. So we're going to break this down into categories. The first thing we're going to go through is the general, and we'll work our way through this. Make sure you stay around to the end because some of the best settings are actually in the accessibility. So starting things off, let's just scroll through the general. Basically all of this you don't really need to change other than the stun VFX. You can change that to white glare or dark glare. Essentially what this means is when you get flashbanged, do you want your screen to turn white and basically blind you, or just go black? Now, when you first change this, it will feel really weird, but just put it on black. The tinnitus SFX is when you get stunned or flashed again, and it leaves that ringing noise in your ear. So instead of putting it on ringing or wave, just leave it on muted because you won't get that sound at all. Moving on down then, the next thing you're going to want to change is diffuser pickup. This you're going to want to have on both. Now, I'm not sure what it is on by default anymore, but make sure you put it on both, because essentially what it means is on automatic you have to run over the bomb to pick it up. On manual, you run over the bomb, you don't pick it up automatically, you have to press a button, but you can press it within a certain radius, and if you leave it on both, you'll be able to have that extended range of being able to pick it up, but you'll also be able to just run over it and pick it up automatically. So this is the best one. After that, the next thing is the visible throw trajectory. So when you're throwing, you know, like stuns or grenades and stuff, you will see your lineup. In my opinion, I think this is really useful, so I leave it on, but if you do find that annoying, you can turn it off. Drone after prep, I leave on semi-automatic, so if your drone is still alive, it won't take you straight into the round, but if your drone is dead, it will take you straight into the round and you won't be spectating someone else's drone. Match replay, I leave on. You can turn it off if you want to. Text channel, crossplay, that's all fair enough. You can leave those on what you want. Now, the next settings we're going to go over then is the HUD settings. Now, there is a few changes on here that you can make to make your HUD look a little bit better. Now, the compass, you're going to want to leave on, but compass appearance, I think by default it's on advanced, but swap this over to simplified. It gets smaller, it takes up less of your screen, but it is still there. So having it on is obviously useful sometimes. Leaving it on simplified is the best of both worlds because it doesn't take up your entire screen. Most of these things is up to personal preference. If you want to disable, they're all pretty much there for you to turn off if you want to. I'm not going to go through each and every one. That's just down to your personal opinions. One thing I do like to change is health. I like putting that on numbers only, so I actually get rid of the health bar in the bottom left, but it will tell you how much health you have left as a number. So again, it takes up a little bit less of your screen, but in my opinion, it looks a little bit cleaner. Now, moving on from that, again, I'm going to scroll all the way down here. Action reminders, I like putting this on icons only. So when you walk up to a wall, for example, and it gives you the prompt to repel, it won't tell you what the button is because hopefully you will already know that, but it will give you the little icon to show that it is possible to repel there, for example. Same when it comes to planting diffuser and stuff like that. It won't tell you what the button is, but it will tell you that you're able to do it. So that is best in my opinion. And then going down to the reticle one, again, that's all down to personal preference. There is something to do with the reticles later on in the video in the accessibility settings, but basically the rest of it you don't really have to change, but scroll through it. The only other thing I change actually is operator guides. That is when you pause, you get those videos pop up on your screen. That, in my opinion, is annoying, so I turn it off. So moving on over to the big one, probably one of the main reasons, as I said earlier, that most of you are watching this video, we have the audio settings. Now, scrolling straight through this, you're going to notice that the original setting that they used to have is no longer here, where it was between night mode, hi-fi, and then default, or whatever the third option was. Now we have the dynamic range as high or as low. Now, essentially what this is if you read them, high is going to have gunshots and explosions loud, as they sound realistic, while enemy movements are dynamic and responsive. Now, what high is is the hi-fi mode that we had before. This is going to keep everything loud and balanced, and the other option, low, is going to be compressed volume by lowering the loud sounds such as gunshots and explosion. This reduces immersion and realism but helps avoid auditory fatigue. Now what this means is they're going to make the loud noises, explosions and gunshots quieter, which means you're going to be able to hear those enemy footsteps a little bit better. So for me, I put that now on low. I don't know why they changed it from the original way around that they did, but it is what it is. And then scrolling down for the voiceover preset, I leave this on gameplay focused. What this means is any in-game dialogue that your operator or your teammates or your enemies make is only going to be gameplay focused. If you leave this on maximum, that means they're going to be doing more random talking and it's going to distract you. At least that's what I find. HQ voiceover I turn off. Now this is when the announcer says things, and I don't think, other than in the HQ, the firing range, I don't think that actually happens anymore. I'm not 100% sure, but I just leave that off anyway. And then other than that, it should be fine. If this doesn't fix your problem, it's probably down to the fact your game is glitched. Ubisoft are working on it, so let's just hope it doesn't last any longer than that. But moving over to display, there's not really a whole lot you're going to want to change. Again, it's all really down to preference with aspect ratio. VSync I leave on 1 frame, but some people like to turn it off, but I get some screen tearing where my PC isn't very good, so I leave it on 1 frame. FPS limit I just turn off because why not? I mean, if my PC's going to get good frames, I might as well let it fluctuate. And I personally have my field of view on 90, but again, it's all down to your personal opinion. Now, with that being said, the other big one is going to be your graphics settings, because this is going to highly affect your FPS. Now, by default, I would not touch the NVIDIA Reflex low latency thing. I know if you read it, it says it can boost your FPS, but this means it will have more wear on your GPU and your CPU, and if you have a low-end PC, even though it does say it's going to look better, it's not really going to have much of an effect, so I just leave it turned off. Now, for the graphics preset, you're just going to want to follow what I do. If you have FPS issues, follow me exactly. Now, it's not going to make your game look amazing, but you're going to have the best FPS, okay? So what you're going to want to do, put the default on low. All you're going to want to do is put your texture quality up to either medium or high. Up to you, really. It depends how good your PC is. Play around with it, see what kind of FPS you are getting and stuff like that. With the VRAM, this is new, I believe. Just leave it on maximum. If you turn it down, your game will start like stuttering, I assume, or you'll get it where some textures aren't loading properly. Texture filtering, I leave this on linear. Now, the more you turn this up, the more filtering it does to the textures, the better they will look, but you don't really want to mess with it. Now, the next one that you're going to want to change is LOD quality, and you're going to want to put this on the highest you can. Now, what this does is it means the further you are away from something, the lower resolution it will be. So if you have this on the minimum, that means just the next room away from where you are is going to have terrible graphics. Now, this is going to obviously make your FPS slightly worse, but you won't actually notice it. Turning this up is just, you just need to turn it up, basically. Shading quality, I put on medium. Shadows, I put on medium or high. Again, sometimes shadows in Siege can actually be helpful in, you know, actually finding and fighting enemies. So I put this on high. Any higher than that, you don't really need. Reflection quality, you don't need. VFX, you don't need. Ambient occlusion, off. And depth of field, turn that off as well. That's the blur that you get when you're scoped in, for example, or when something's close to you, it focuses on that thing, and then the background gets blurred. So just turn that off. You don't really need that. All of this other stuff is for if you have AMD stuff. I just leave it off. It's going to mess with it. Anti-aliasing, I would either have on TAA and then turn this up to 100, or just turn it off. Like, it's either one or the other. If you leave this on, it's going to have a little bit better looks, but run the best out of any of these options. And if you turn it off, it's just going to be the best for your FPS. S. And once you've set it to the same as that, click apply, and I guarantee you will be getting better FPS than you were before. Moving over to controls, I'm not even going to touch any of that. That's just your sensitivity, your keybinds and stuff like that. Privacy, you don't really need to touch that as well unless you're like a streamer or something, then you want to turn this stuff on. And then accessibility settings is where you're going to want to lock in, because the first thing you're going to want to change is your optic color. Now by default it will be red and green. In my opinion, just stick to one. Now the colors that stick out the most against most backgrounds is green, yellow, red, but that's arguably the worst, purple is quite good, and white. Anything else I would not go, because if you scope over certain textures and stuff, you will not be able to see your screen. Now what I personally go for is purple or green. I did have it on green most recently, but again, it's all down to personal preference. I also put my optic opacity on 70, so it's not going to be a solid green color. Even if you're aiming at someone, you will see the faintest of them through it. So that is what I do. Screen shake, turn this off. If an explosion goes off near you, your screen is going to shake and it's going to throw off your aim. Just turn it off, motion blur off, stun VFX, as I said earlier, put on dark. If you're getting flashed, you don't want to be flashbanged in real life, so just turn it off. Again, tinnitus muted. Dynamic range I have on low, as I said earlier. This is your team colors, not going to talk about that, and then that's your chat preferences, and that is all of the settings within Siege X. Now, as I said, audio problems aside, I do actually like a lot of the changes that they've made this time around. I really don't think I like the new audio system, but maybe it's because I'm also getting audio issues. I'm not 100% sure. I'll just have to wait and see. I know a lot of people are praising them for it. But with that being said, I'm going to close out the video by saying if you have any more questions or problems, let me know in the comments. I also have a Discord channel, which I will leave in the description. Don't be afraid to go check it out. And that is the best place to come and actually talk to me personally if you have any questions about Siege in general, to be honest. But it is all up to you guys. I will leave that there for you. Click the video on screen. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.